Hey, this is Paul Gilmartin from the Mental Illness Happy Hour, and you are listening to The Soul of Life. And if you happen to turn it off, your life will cease to work. So pay attention. He knows what the fuck he's doing.
Today on The Soul of Life, I speak to singer and songwriter David Wilcox.
What if my body knows something my mind doesn't? How is that possible? And what would change? I mean, talking to your body is like trying to talk to your dog. It doesn't actually speak, but you can tell what it's feeling.
Who sang several live songs for me as we discussed his phenomenal ability to touch emotional chords and speak to the hearts of thousands of his listeners over the years.
Great unknown. We left the front door open, no key for a souvenir. Where to go, and all we know is home will not be here.
David sang a song with special meaning for anyone who's experienced the silent suffering of depression.
A cloud of darkness out of clear blue sky. That's why he says, this is a cloud at least you can talk about. Because when he tries to talk about depression, you know, people say, oh, your life is so good, cheer up.
And sang one of my all-time favorites of his, and one that anyone in a committed relationship needs to hear.
Secret of a happy marriage. Maybe you should write this down. I wanna keep our love together. The best way is to end it now. Cause when you both know it's over, suddenly the truth comes out. I needed to have this sense of wonder. And so I thought, well, it's either wonder, which is maybe an illusion, or death. Sound like Eddie Izzard, you know? Cake or death? Cake, please. Oh, all right, cake. Now there's no defending, no one has to win. Start with the ending is the best way to begin.
Welcome to episode 7 of The Soul of Life. I'm Keith Miller, and this is David Wilcox.
Start with the ending. Cause after you've both decided you were missing something.
I'm Keith Miller, and my podcast, The Soul of Life, is here to help you remember who you really are. I'll bring together people who have gotten off their treadmills. I'll have conversations with athletes, musicians, doctors, scientists, healers, and entrepreneurs to discuss the fascinating edges of our knowledge in neurobiology, psychology, and physics. This is The Soul of Life. Have you ever been in a position where you know that you or your family member really needs emotional support or marriage enrichment, but you find out how expensive it is to get access to high-quality, out-of-network professionals? Well, I've created the Soul of Life community just for this. At community.souloflifeshow.com, you can join for free and be part of a network of caring and supportive people having conversations that can bring healing to your soul. It's there that you'll find access to psychoeducational courses to deal with stress, anxiety, and relationship conflict. For example, right now I'm offering a 7-week immersive course for couples called Mindful Marriage that walks people through a mindfulness-based stress reduction curriculum I designed that really gives couples in conflict a map towards stability, trust, and deeper intimacy. Just go to community.souloflifeshow.com, check out the courses, and join for free to be part of the Soul of Life community of learners and soul seekers. More than 3 decades into his career, singer-songwriter David Wilcox is a quintessential folk singer, telling stories full of heart, humor, and hope, substance, searching, and style. His innate sense of adventure and authenticity is why critics and colleagues alike have always praised not just his artistry, but his humanity as well. In 1987, Wilcox had released his first independent album, The Night Shift Watchman. A year later, he won the prestigious Caryville Folk Festival New Folk Award, and in '89, he signed with A&M Records, selling more than 100,000 copies of his debut. In the 30 years and more than 20 records since, whether with a major label, an indie company, or his own imprint, Wilcox has continued to hone his craft, pairing thoughtful insights with his warm baritone, open tunings, and deft technique. It's a real privilege to speak with you today, David. How are you?
I'm good. It's always horrible hearing my bio, but I'll survive.
I mean, I don't know how to introduce someone like you. I could have read like mini segments of your bio. That was just like the most condensed. I had to like just say a couple things for people who may not know you, but my goodness, you've had a long and wonderful career. I've known your music. A friend of mine introduced me to Live Songs and Stories, your 2002 album, and it was probably 20 years. No, it was 20 years ago, man. Yeah. He's like, you got to hear this. I loved it. And so you've been in my kind of, repertoire playlist for a long time. And so many other people share that, have kind of shared their lives with you, or, grown into their lives with you as you've grown in your music. What's this year been like for you? You often have a really heavy touring schedule, sometimes 80 or 100 shows a year. And what happened for you during COVID? How's it been lately?
It's been an interesting year. I was at first taking it as a writing retreat, and I was working really hard. And then I realized I was kind of missing an opportunity to sort of go on an ego fast and not be the person I thought I was, and sort of see what was left. And so that was a wonderful exercise, wonderful in that sort of, harrowing sense of the word. It was, my soul was thriving and my ego was, help me, I'm dying. But that's good. So, it's all right. How about you? Did you have a lovely pandemic?
Oh man, I was in a crowded room the other day. I don't even know where I was. It could have been at our neighborhood pool. Like, it's crowded, and there were tears in my eyes for no reason. I was just like, I can't believe. And I'm probably getting like a cold virus. This cold is going around now.
That's a beautiful way to say it. Yes, just being in a gathering of people, we realize there's this whole aspect of our emotional sustenance that has not been there.
Yeah.
And I just, I'll go downtown and just like watch people. Oh, look at them. Oh, they're all so cute.
I still can't believe this is happening. I'm pinching myself and hoping and praying that we don't have to lock down again. But it's such a relief.
So when did you decide you were going to be brave and talk to people soulfully and hold yourself accountable with video? It's a great idea.
Yeah.
But how did it start?
Well, so thank you for asking. I maybe like you just described on this sort of voyage away from the ego.
Yeah.
I was, we're all performers. I think we all have to perform something in life, right? So my performance parts as a healer and therapist and a business person, and all of those hats you wear to keep the lights on and do stuff for other people, they were just getting really dim.
Yeah.
And it was like, I can tolerate, I guess if I don't feel really on, I can handle that. I have ways to deal with that. But it's like when my body can't, I'm at Subway ordering a sandwich and I lose the word for green peppers. And I'm 40, I'm turning 44. I'm not and so I went to all these doctors and said, what the hell is wrong with me? It's gotta be, you gotta find this virus or something. And that was right around the pandemic. Is funny when this, pandemic hit and everybody's really super health and germ conscious. And I was just on this tear with doctors, going through one doctor after another. You got to find this problem. It can't be me. Please just find it. And as it settled, the diagnostic crosshairs, David, sort of settled for me on a form of depression. And, that's just not something I work with every day because that's what I do with people, is help treat depression, among other things, trauma and all sorts of mental health and health things. But putting those crosshairs on me, I just realized how difficult it is to use one word to describe a panoply of a life's experience that is showing up in your body at a given moment when you can't say the word green peppers. How do you call that depression? That doesn't make any sense. So I said, I've got to talk to other people and lean into this and just get more open and ask people to come in and talk about their own experience with breaking down and losing it. And I think that's human.
Nice. So for you, it was noticeable in terms of like not having the word that you needed at the moment you needed it.
Yeah.
And what other ways was it showing up? What other things were different?
Yeah, mostly it was the mental clarity piece of it, which I'm usually pretty good at holding a lot of like working memory pieces, and it just wasn't there. So it didn't present itself to me like a lot of people think of depression as you can't get out of bed, you just don't want to exist. And I had to actually do some work to get to that layer. It's funny because that exists, that's real for me. I have those parts of me, but I don't have access to them directly. So my body just says, okay, well, screw you. You've got to pay attention to this thing. You're not paying attention to it. I'm going to make you pay attention to it.
Yeah, sometimes I think that what people call depression is sort of like a strike at a factory. Let's say that the people working the assembly line, the sort of subtle ecosystem of our emotional state is really unhappy. And they're trying to send messages to management, and management is not listening. And eventually they say, okay, we're shutting down.
Yep.
And then management is like, what's wrong? What's wrong? Yeah. Oh, you're listening now?
Yeah.
Tell you what, stay in bed for about a month and then we'll talk.
That's right. That's right. A total walkout. That's what happened. Some people get migraines. I mean, I know this somatic connection to the mind is real. And I was just talking about this yesterday with somebody at a conference. It was still in the 80s. There were medical journals were publishing stuff that said like there's no connection between mind and body. Like that was as recent as the 80s. And so now we certainly, the literature has expanded. Now we know that there's the mind is the body. So can't separate those two things. But yeah, you're absolutely right. So I didn't have migraines. I didn't have back pain. I didn't have sort of flare-ups of
wow.
But it was this, real manifestation, as if somebody had just as if I had not eaten in like 7 days. That's how it would feel after a meal.
Wow. Let me play you a song about that, because the best song is the right song at the right time for the right person.
That's great.
So this is a song that I wrote for a friend of mine who suffers from depression. And he lives in California. So whenever California is on fire, I call him up and I say, how close is it? And sometimes he says, oh, the wind's going the other way. I think we'll be fine. And sometimes he says, it's right over the ridge and you can't see across the street. The smoke is so thick. And I say, oh God, that must be terrible. And he says, well, at least it's a cloud you can talk about. There's a forest fire many miles away. So the wind is burned and the sky is gray. Now the air is thick with the acrid haze. So we hide inside and the kids don't play. Every breath I breathe, I can feel the tear when my throat gets raw from the caustic air. Though the sky is clear, there's a weight I bear from the hopelessness hanging everywhere. I can't explain my sorrow, so you ask me why I made a cloud of darkness out of clear blue sky. But there's this burn on the wind. It circles round and seeps right in. It's the poison pain in the tales I tell, the mistakes I made that I hate like hell, the forgotten shame with the rotten smell that'll ruin the rain and spoil the well. There's nowhere in my mind to find a place to hide. I try to close the windows, but it seeps inside. There's this burn on the wind. It circles round and seeps right in. The depression hits when my mind is caught. So my heart gets racked with the pain I fought. It'll burn that black into all my thoughts, putting all I lack into all I've got. I can't explain my sorrow when you ask me why I made a cloud of darkness out of clear blue sky. But there's this bird on the wind. It circles round and seeps right in. That thing about made a cloud of darkness out of clear blue sky. That's why he says, this is a cloud at least you can talk about. Because when he tries to talk about depression, you know, people say, oh, your life is so good, cheer up. And for him, it's just something he is breathing in with every breath and trying not to, you know, let his eyes tear up. And when they say you made a cloud of darkness out of clear blue sky, makes him feel like he's doing it, like he's guilty. So this song was just trying to have compassion, comparing it to something that everyone can see and no one would deny, like a real life-threatening thing. And if the wind is coming towards you, it will take your whole life. So it's an interesting song to sing because it's about something that's a forest fire that's real, and it's a weird kind of forest fire that no one else can see. So how's that land on you?
Wow. I mean, you hit it right on the head. You hit it right on the head. I was walking with a friend who, I called, at one point because, you need to call somebody.
Yeah.
You just need to call somebody, or you need someone to be able to speak like that, like you're able to speak and just touch your heart with something. And, this friend and me hadn't been in touch for a long time because we're busy. He's a lawyer and I'm busy with a lot of things. And we're just walking and he asked, he said, have you ever thought about ending it all?
Yeah.
Because that's what a good friend will ask you.
Yeah.
When you're just trying to cheer up.
Yeah.
And I said, well, funny you ask. But not the way you might think, but the way you described the forest fire in that song, David, that's the way I could describe what I think for me was this suicidal kind of blaze. Like I actually have come to believe that we all, it's just in our atmosphere.
Yeah.
And it just comes across. Sometimes we get into spots where that's all we're seeing.
Yeah.
And we get into some place on the planet where that's just what we're in. And for me, it was like, I could see this coming. And it's like, oh yeah, I see that. It's like on the ridge.
Well, there's this whole other aspect that fascinates me, which is in the same way that in the 70s, people thought the mind was the mind and the body's just the vehicle.
Yeah.
And then suddenly they realized, oh, physiology affects emotion? Really? Who knew? I really think that there's a whole other remove. There's a whole other level of that, which is that our emotional state is picking up the ambient emotion of the people around us.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I notice it most in situations where, like, for example, it used to be I would show up at the airport and go through the little, the screenings, the security. And I had just been having a lovely day driving to the airport, listening to great music. I have plenty of time till my flight. Suddenly, there's this physiological, like, scared, nervous, weird, threatened, kind of all kinds of stuff going on. And I'm thinking, why am I feeling this? And then I look around and the single mom behind me has got like one kid in her arms and she's trying to hang on to her toddler and put the stuff on the belt. And the businessman behind her is angry at her. And I realize I'm not feeling my own emotions. I'm sensing the state of the herd.
Yeah.
And I as soon as that thought crosses my mind, my physiology changes.
Mm-hmm.
And I realize I'm relaxed, I'm happy, and maybe I can be of some help,
Yes.
And that switch is so fast. As soon as I entertain the thought that what I'm feeling is not just my view of the world, but it's other people's emotional state that I'm sensing. And when that happens at a big level, like a global pandemic, oh my God, we are picking up a carrier wave of a subtle sort of fear and desperation and confusion and all that stuff. And I think that once we start to recognize that all of us leave a wake, an emotional wake.
Right.
And, like if you're in a quiet harbor, the signs will say 5 miles an hour, no wake.
Right.
Because they realize that, there are people like working on their boats, sleeping in their boats.
Mm-hmm.
If you go rocking all the boats in the harbor, it affects everyone.
Right.
And this is what I'm starting to feel like is a really interesting way to think about my purpose, my dignity in life, is to realize that even if I'm not talking to someone on the rental car, shuttle bus, or whatever, I'm affecting their emotional state.
Yeah, right.
And
that can be enlightening, but also terrifying. That could be a way out of a really tough place, or it could be really a way into like, oh my gosh, this responsibility. I don't know if
a responsibility. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like the weight of responsibility. I didn't grow up, and you didn't grow up with this fear. I mean, we grew up with fear that we were going to die from a nuclear attack, but from Russia or some other country. But we didn't grow up with the fear that we were going to kill ourselves with the planet.
And the wild part is, my son's generation, he's 27, he's kind of taking on this assumption that for him, he's like seeing the end of civilization. It's not going to be this grand vision of what we're creating.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be like picking the scraps off the bones as the flies come, and it's the whole global ecological crisis and all the economic stuff and all the injustice. And so that there's this ambient feeling of basically we're not building a grand vision anymore. We're just like, survive. And what a difference. What a fantastic, just huge base level change in the human psyche, to go from feeling like there's this sort of beautiful evolution of the flowering of civilization, down to like, nah, we missed that.
we missed that. Let's talk about aliens and UFOs. Let's just like maybe put somebody on Mars, maybe to get out of here. And you've got a great song about that. I was really touched to hear your song about. I'm gonna blow it, but you can tell me about it. But it's like we can put a man in outer space, but can we put a man on Earth?
Will we ever land a man on Earth? What an interesting song! Yeah,
it's a great one.
It's a fascinating. So in the midst of all this, I try to communicate to my son my justification for wanting to be a positive presence. And I start to say that it's true that if we immerse ourselves in all the real issues and the real crises, then we would think we'd be perfectly justified in just being scared and depressed and terrified. But if I have this notion like I have an emotional wake, then the question is, learn about the issues, learn to be effective, an agent of change, and then comes the responsibility to not sort of be immobilized by the terror.
Yeah.
And so I have, can I play another song for you?
Do you want to share that one with us?
This is a song about sustaining that sense of wonder and possibility. I am looking at the paintings in this great museum. The news of one more shooting made me long to cry. I'd love to work for justice and for peace and freedom, but right now I need a refuge that is quiet and dry. So I come to see the beauty when the world is tragic. An umbrella stops the rain, but it won't dry the sky. And this play of light and shadow is transcendent magic, and it changes the whole universe, at least inside. In the ocean deep, when these waves are steep, every hope I keep betrays me. It's the beautiful that saves me. So I'm walking past these priceless works of famous artists, but in between those canvases, it's cold white wall. These painters found a crucible for their catharsis, but they knew that no rendition could contain it all. I'm fearful of the riptide in the sea of sorrow, and I don't have any faith to make these waters part. And if I venture out there, I would drown a martyr. And it feels so overwhelming, I can barely start. In the ocean deep, when these waves are steep, every hope I keep betrays me. It's the beautiful that saves me. Now the woman at the coat check hands me back my raincoat. Stay warm out there, she smiles and looks me in the eye. I take her simple kindness like we're in the same boat, and we all need some protection from the storm outside. We are underneath the cloud of all this dark emotion, but I'll make it through the storm because I've warmed my heart. A wooden hull can rest above a deep, dark ocean, and a window into beauty is a place to start. In the ocean deep, when these waves are steep, every hope I keep betrays me. It's the beautiful that saves me. It's the beautiful
Thank you so much. That's a gift. You have a real gift for following the pain or going towards the suffering or the discomfort and then seeing beauty or finding something you didn't expect to see. How did you get that ability, David, in your songwriting? What do you think prepared you for this role?
I think that I think that it was survival. I think that my family of origin, they're really smart and they're really sort of cynical, and I kind of knew that I had to do something different. I knew that in order for life to be at all worth staying here, I really needed to kind of open to a sense of accountability, guidance, some mystical sense of adventure, playfulness, with synchronicity and what I call the choreography of coincidence. And I just needed to do that. I wasn't saying it was true. Mm-hmm. I was just saying that if I'm going to stay alive, I have to sort of make this my operating system. I have to imagine this. And so that was a very pragmatic sense of, this, if it's a delusion, it's a very pragmatic delusion. And I was just deciding that I needed to have this sense of wonder. And so I thought, well, it's either wonder, which is maybe an illusion, or death. Sound like Eddie Izzard, cake or death? Cake, please. Oh, all right, cake.
Well, I love the way you speak about that. It could be perceived as a delusion because someone on the outside of watching or hearing some of your songs, or just hearing somebody in a state of, I don't know, state of transcendence, let's just say, to use that word.
Yeah.
They can say, like, that's just not true.
My friend Mark used to say, Jesus Christ, Dave, you're so goddamn dumb, you're happy. And, that makes total sense from his point of view. Right. And I can see how he was like my dad, like my brother, just deciding like, no, we're going to stick to what can be empirically known. We're not going to kid ourselves with any false sense of hope or anything. And I think, if I could have stayed alive like that, I might have valued truth over life.
Well,
can I play you another song?
Yeah,
this is a song about surviving my childhood.
Oh, great! All right, let's do it. Let's go there.
This is a ridiculous song, but it's when my lovely wife first came home and met my family, I got a lot of partner points because she was aware that, she was aware that I was a relatively evolved human, but she didn't realize how far back I had started. So we started talking about like, wait a minute, you said you had a happy childhood. And I said, well, I did. I had a bicycle. I wasn't home a lot. This is This is a brand new song, and I'm trying to find the melody in my head.
Please take the time now to subscribe to The Soul of Life wherever you're listening. Give it a thumbs up or write a positive review.
I was I like this song. I woke up knowing things had changed. I had dreamed a dream that seemed so strange. That twisted knot would not come free. Those business shoes were killing me. That morning as I laced them tight, my soul knew something was not right. A ship in harbor always moored. I was chairman of the very board. I was the lost man, lost man. Grab the dice, you only get one toss, man. Learning not to gamble when you can't afford the cost, man. The day I quit was all a blur. I came home to explain to her. She agreed, it seemed so clear. We should not waste another year. Someone's bound to fill that role, live on loans and sell their soul. But we gave up the pain and strife for a smaller house and a bigger life. No more lost man, lost man. Grab the dice, you only get one toss, man. Learning not to gamble when you can't afford the cost, man. They say the clothes will make the man do the things he cannot stand. I walked around in my own hell, a life that did not fit me well. I'll give these brogues another shine and place them on their window shrine. I'll never throw these shoes away. If not for them, I might have stayed. Being the lost man, boss man. Grab the dice, you only get one toss, man. Learning not to gamble when you can't afford the cost, man. So, let alone the twist in your gut, this is a song about the embodied wisdom. When you don't know what's wrong with your life, and all you get is signals from your body because your mind is so confused, set in your presuppositions about like, well, I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. I'm climbing the ladder of success. And all you get from your body is, this hurts. Wait a minute, what hurts? Well, start with your feet. Your feet hurt. Well, they're perfectly good shoes. They're very expensive. They're very comfortable shoes. What could be wrong? Nothing could be wrong. Let's just put them on. Until that moment when you say, what if my body knows something my mind doesn't? How is that possible? And what would change? I mean, talking to your body is like trying to talk to your dog. It doesn't actually speak, but you can tell what it's feeling. And so you say, well, what if I just listened? What if I said, okay, you seem not to want to put these shoes on. What would change if you didn't? Well, you'd have to live someplace warm. You'd have to start your own business, work out of your house. What if you decided to listen to the subtle signals of your body? So this song is just about that sense of like, I don't know, but I know this is wrong. So if I don't know what's right, maybe I can just start with, just know what's wrong. Just tell me what's wrong, even if it's just a simple, stupid thing. And this song is about a guy who just decided, I'm just going to change this one thing. And everything changed.
Love it. Love it. Wow. That's great. Have you released that song?
No, that's really new. That's just
wow. Thank
maybe
you.
3 weeks old.
That's privileged to hear that. There's this saying that I've been a marriage counselor for 20 years. It was one of the things I got into. This may sound like a paradox, but in the healing profession, there are ladders.
Yeah.
To climb. There are things we want to do, we want to be good at doing. just like everything. And so even in my profession, I was a social worker. I am a social worker, became a social worker because to me, it was a promotion from being a priest.
Yeah.
So I want to be out there and not have a lot of baggage. I don't want to carry a lot of dogma and want to be able to go everywhere. And so I did that in the city, working in mental health, and saw everything, all the sickness and the, tragedy that unfolds, and eventually I graduated, I suppose you could say, to working in a nice kind of clean office. I didn't have to go into somebody's house and dress them as they were hungover or something like that. So, I'm moving up the ladder, and then I want to do more. I want to really go where do people really need help? Where do therapists get stuck? Where do the pros really struggle? Well, that's marriage counseling.
Yeah.
So, opened up that ocean of knowledge and swam in that, learned a lot for 20 years. One of the sayings we have is you can be right or you can be in a relationship. And I have a feeling you would agree with that.
Oh yeah, I love that expression.
I'd love if you could introduce people to. I want to ask you to start with the ending, because that song has just been rolling around in my head for probably ever since I first heard it and ever since you wrote it. But
I do like this song. Secret of a happy marriage. Maybe you should write this down. I want to keep on love together. The best way is to end it now. 'Cause when you both know it's over, suddenly the truth comes out. You can talk about your secret passion. You can talk about your restless doubt. When there's no pretending, the truth is safe to say. Start with the ending, get it out of the way. Now there's no defending, no one has to win. Start with the ending, it's the best way to begin. To begin, to begin. Start with the ending. 'Cause after you've both decided you were missing something that you need, the ways you were too short-sighted get easier for you to see. And after all the expectations shatter on the kitchen floor, you just see another human suffering, and you wonder what the war was for. When there's no pretending, the truth is safe to say. Start with the ending, get it out of the way. Now there's no defending, no one has to win. Start with the ending, it's the best way to begin. Happy anniversary, darling. We go back a long, long time. I think about our lives together. I'm so grateful you are here in mine. I know you'll keep on changing. You're moving in this dance with me. I love the way we embrace the future and keep the past a memory. So there's no defending that the old ways should remain. We start with the ending, things will never be the same. Now there's no pretending, no one has to win. Start with the ending, it's the best way to begin. To begin. best way to begin.
Wow, thank you. That I was just taken away by that. I'm blown away by that. Thank you.
Thanks. My pleasure.
Yeah.
Good singing for you.
I really appreciate you, David. Is there anything else you want to share with me? I mean, we could.
Well, I do want to say thank you for doing what you're doing, because it does feel like the same kind of thing that I'm doing. It feels like there's a lot of noise in the ambient sort of conversation, and for me, music is an excuse to sort of be really honest and really vulnerable and talk about what matters and deepen a friendship and sort of fling my soul out there and not try to worry about, showing my best side or whatever. And that's kind of what that start with the ending song is. It's sort of like, well, this is me. Imagine doing that on a first date. And the conversations that you chose to have when you were feeling like you needed community, you needed like friends and conversations and a way to stay connected. That has been the main focus of sort of all the songs that I've written, and it's really fun to join your way of doing it. And
yeah. Oh, you're my pleasure. It's really a dream to talk to you and to get to hear you actually in your studio and performing. I want to give a shout out to you're touring again. You're actually getting in some venues, which is fantastic. You're going to be in my neck of the woods for my local listeners at One World Coffee House in Columbia, Maryland on October 8th, and also at Jam and Java in Vienna, Virginia on October 10th. So people want to get in tune with you. They can find you on your website. You want to shout out to that website that you have and tell people where they can find you?
It's just davidwilcox.com. Everything's there.
Any other songs you want to share to take us out? Anything fun or?
Why, certainly. This is a song about getting to the place that feels like home.
Nice.
And it's the title of the song is "We Make the Way by Walking," and it's, of course, that phrase is taken from the pilgrimage, the Santiago pilgrimage, but I'm kind of applying it to about how there isn't sort of a road to follow to become you, because no one's ever had to become you before. So you're setting out on this wilderness. We make the way by walking. We make the way by walking. We came away with nothing. We ran from the home we'd known. Down the stairs, running, scared to face the great unknown. We left the front door open, no key for a souvenir. Where to go, and all we know is home will not be here. The past remains unclear. We make the way by walking. We make the way by walking. We left the well-worn circle. We left the city lights. We came up here where the air is clear and the stars are bright at night. Maybe there's a distant valley, maybe it's a ways away. But we're all here on the new frontier, 'cause we knew we could not stay. We knew we could not stay. Sing. We make the way by walking. We make the way by walking. I climbed a little bit higher, some things you cannot unsee. I walked a little bit further, and the walking set me free. By then you were walking with me, and you asked if I knew the way. I made you laugh when I said our path might be a road someday. Might be a road someday. We make the way by walking. We make the way by walking. We make the way by walking. Our steps are the votes we cast. The crazy few that have seen this view may not be the last. The way that a pilgrim travels is to set off for parts unknown. But if history is kind, we're the ones who may find the way we all come home. We make the way by walking. We make the way by walking. We make the way by walking. We make the way by walking.
Thank you, David Wilcox. You can find him at davidwilcox.com. Such a privilege to speak with you today. Thanks so much.
My pleasure, thank you.
Hey, I've started a community for Soul of Life fans interested in talking about episodes or getting more information about some of my teaching on IFS, mindfulness, and relationship growth. Head on over to community.souloflifeshow to get access to this group of really cool people just like you who care about the show and want to talk about episodes or hear more, get access to courses, and support each other through life. That's what this is all about. Please leave an iTunes rating for the show and subscribe now wherever you listen to get more soul in your life.
I like it, and it's not harsh to my eardrum.
All right, I will go.